Hello everyone, and welcome back to the Knit Witch podcast. I am your host, the Knit Witch, and I just wanted to say Happy New Year. This is the first episode of 2024, so I hope everyone had a safe, happy, and healthy holiday season, as well as your entrance into the new year. Today we are going to be talking about some finished objects, some things I'm working on, and some future plans for my knitting as well, and maybe some life stuff thrown in there. Unfortunately, I have neither of my finished objects physically here in person because they have been gifted, but I can absolutely insert pictures as I talk about them. So the first finished object I have for you this week is actually socks for my boyfriend that I am currently 98% done with writing a pattern to be published for. That was kind of an awkward bit of syntax for you. So I wrote the pattern for the socks that I knit my boyfriend for Christmas, and I am currently in the process of putting the finishing touches on the written pattern to be published. I don't think that anything I'm saying is making sense. Apparently, I am having a hard time getting back into the swing of things because I have not talked to you guys since before Christmas, so it's taking my mouth a little while to catch up with the words in my brain. So these socks, I showed them to you last time. Last time I had one finished sock and half of a sock currently going. I think I was just about to be on the heel, if I remember correctly. I think I was almost done with the gusset increases. So I finished those. I gifted them to my boyfriend for Christmas. I have a little leftovers from the sock. I dyed this yarn myself. This was like the main color that I used. It's just this like super pretty tonal gray color. And then for the heel, I dyed up this color, which is just like a little autumnal red, yellow, green little guy. So this is 30 grams that I have left, and I think this is 20 grams that I have left. So these were the two colors that I used in the socks, as I'm sure you have seen from the pictures that I have been inserting the whole time. So I gifted those to him for Christmas, and he, I believe, is wearing them today. I know he definitely wore them yesterday, but you know how with knitted socks you can get a couple days wear out of them? I'm pretty sure he's wearing them again today. So that is my finished object number one. Finished object number two, also a gift from my boyfriend. His birthday is on January 1st, so this was his birthday present. It is a hat that I also wrote the pattern for, but it was kind of just like improvised on the go. But the whole like beauty of this hat is that I spun the yarn myself, which I also showed last time, but I can insert pictures of the like finished spun yarn if you're interested. This is what I have left. This is 16 grams, and the I don't know how well you're gonna be able to see this, right? The finished spin was like somewhere around a DK weight. So last time I remember telling you guys, I had cast on 96 stitches originally on a size 5 needle, which is actually the exact same pattern that I did for the hat I'm wearing. So that's where I got those numbers, 96 stitches on a size 5 needle, somewhere around a DK weight yarn. And I was knitting a broken 1x1 rib. That's so hard to say. Broken 1x1 rib. And I got like 2 or 3 inches into the hat at 96 stitches and was like, this is looking really big. And I measured it against this hat that I'm wearing and other hats that I have made for him, and I was like, I think it's gonna be too big. So he like came over, I like tried it on his head, and I was like, okay, I'm gonna go down to 84 stitches because this is like way too big for your head. So I reknit the whole entire hat, literally bound off and everything, finished the whole thing. I hadn't cut the yarn yet, but I like bound off and like sewed up the the crown, and I tried it on me and it fit me perfectly, and I was like, uh-oh, because I have a normal person size head and my boyfriend has a watermelon skull. So I was like, there's no way that a hat that fits me is gonna fit him. And he tried it on, and it got like stuck at his forehead, and he was like, I think it's too small. I was like, I think it's too small too. So completely ripped it out, and recast on, you guessed it, 96 stitches. I was gonna cast on like somewhere in the middle, like 88 or 90, something around there, but then like as I was doing my long tail cast on, I think I got to 90 stitches and I had like a fairly long tail still, and I was like, I hate wasting yarn, so I was like, I might as well cast on 96 just to like use up that tail. So of course I cast on 96, knit the entire hat. I finished it like that day. Like I think it was either the 23rd or the 24th, something like that. I like cast on and finished it in like an 8-hour period. And I was like, please try this on. Then he was like, oh my god, I can't believe you finished it so fast. Blah, blah, blah. He tried it on. The 96 stitches fit perfectly. So really, a little bit of a wild goose chase almost, trying to figure out how to get this hat to fit him. But he's been wearing that. He loves it. He says it's kind of like a skull cap construction. So like I'm sure you know what a skull cap is, and I'm inserting pictures of the finished hat, not on his head because he doesn't like to have his picture taken, but it like comes down. This hat is a little more like a beanie, a little looser, but it like comes down over his head and like hits, you know, like half forehead and covers his ears, and you guys know what a skull cap is. If you don't, that's what a skull cap is. So he loves it. He's been wearing it. He's like, oh, it covers my ears perfectly. It's so warm. It's like so lightweight, but it's somehow so warm. Yada yada. Just hyping up the work that I've done for him to get in my good graces, so I make him more things. So those are my 2 finished objects for today. Now, last time I remember talking to you guys when I was like, oh, I have these big plans of making myself this pink mohair sweater that I will most likely never wear, because if you couldn't tell by my aesthetic, I am not a pink mohair sweater wearer. Never have been, but I am just assuming that once I finish this sweater, I will be. So let me show you the work that I've done on it so far. Now, the whole reason why I want to knit this sweater in particular is because I previously, my first ever foray into hand dyeing, dyed a sweater's quantity of this like Christmassy colorway where the base of the yarn was pink, but it had red and green speckles on it. And I made a flax light and it came out so beautiful. I loved it so much, and then never wore it. Sorry, I'm trying to untangle my sweater currently. So I made this flax light for myself out of my own hand-dyed yarn, and I never wore it because I was like, I don't wear pink. Gosh, this is so confusing. So I made that 5 years ago, never wore it, not even for a Ravelry project page picture tongue twister. So then I came across the pattern Cloudwatching by Susanne Sommer, and I was like, oh my gosh, this is the perfect pattern to use my obscenely pink yarn, because I hold it with a bland mohair and tone down the pink, and it's gonna be amazing. And like, look at that pearl brioche, it's gorgeous, I love it. So let me just stop rambling and show you the progress on this. I am just about, ooh, it's beautiful, right? Sorry, I am just about maybe an inch past the underarms. I don't know if there's a better way to show this to you. So I split the sleeves. That's what I have for the underarm right there. It's like about an inch. So as you can see, it is absolutely a pink mohair sweater. You can see kind of that halo. And I mean, you know, the yarn is just glorious, right? I mean, who could have possibly dyed up such a wondrous specimen? So it's got this really lovely squishy garter stitch sleeve. Let me move my tail out of the way for you. So garter stitch sleeves, and then pearl brioche for the front and back panels. And oh my god, it is so pretty, right? I love it so much, but you know, whether or not I wear it, let me adjust my needle, whether or not I wear it is a totally different matter. I'm not following the directions. I am a horrible pattern follower. I just like see an image of a finished object and I'm like, I'm knitting that, and I am not acquiring yarn to do so. I am going to knit it with what I have. So the pink speckly yarn is a DK weight, and the mohair is obviously a lace weight, but the pattern that Susanne wrote is for a lace weight merino held with a lace weight mohair to make a fingering weight. So the finished sweater in Suzanne's pattern is fingering weight. The finished sweater in this pattern is going to be like a worsted weight because it's a DK held with mohair. So it's going to be quite a heavy, hot because of mohair. Mohair is quite hot. It'll be a heavy, hot pink sweater. Place your bets on if I'll wear it or not. I love working on this. I just have to like concentrate because of the brioche. So it has gotten some work, but once I like split for the sleeves and like joined the armpits together, I was like, now this is boring, because all I do is purl brioche instead of like having to concentrate on the numbers and the increases and like figuring out how to make the pattern go together despite the increases and stuff, you know. All the fun work of the raglan increases has been stripped away from me, and all of the easy mindless garter stitch of the sleeves has also been stripped away from me. So now it's just round after round of brioche, which takes quite a while because brioche, and it's also just like never ending. So, you know, got that 1 inch of the body and I'm like, I need a break. But I like absolutely ripped through the first, you know, the yoke, the raglan increases. I got that done in maybe, I don't know, a day, 2 days. I think I started that on Christmas. I had to frog my flax light, wound it up into so many tiny little balls of yarn. Was super motivated to start the yoke and stuff, and then, you know, got to the body, totally halted progress, and started working on other things. Which brings me to my next whip. This is another sock for my boyfriend. It is so red. I know you know what I'm gonna say next. I dyed this yarn myself. So this is actually a new to me yarn base that I really, really enjoy. And the red is totally blowing out the camera. I might be able to insert some pictures of it in skein form. But basically, I asked my boyfriend, because he loved his socks so much, I was like, do you want some more? And he was like, oh my god, yes. I will wear them every day. I will pay for them if you want me to. I was like, say less. I love knitting. So I finished it with me, dyed the yarn myself. He wanted something, he said, really red. And I was like, okay. He is colorblind and has a hard time seeing red. So when he says really red, it's gotta be really red. So it's totally blowing out the camera. You probably won't be able to see, you know, exactly how really red it is. But there is, I didn't want it to be just plain red because I thought that might be too boring for the knitter. So I have some like light pink areas and some orange areas, and let me show you the socks because you can probably see it a little bit better on there. It's just, you know, like a variegated tonal red. So that's the front of the sock, or the instep I should say, with some ribbing, and then here is, let me move my heel out of the way. Here is just the sole of the sock, and you can see more of that, you know, variegation in the red. Toe up heel flapping gusset. This is kind of like my tester. So I mentioned that the socks I knit him for Christmas, I'm writing a written pattern. to go with those. This is kind of my tester of like me following that pattern to see if I wrote it well enough to understand. So I've been like strictly following that pattern and not improvising like I usually do. And I just finished the heel last night, and what is that, like an inch and a half past the heel flap on the leg ribbing. So this is going to be like my pattern sample, because the socks I knit him for Christmas have a contrasting heel flap, and I didn't write that into the pattern, although I can totally explain how I did that if necessary, if you would like to know. So I'm having just, you know, the plain, I love, by the way, sorry to interrupt myself, but I love how this yarn looks in the heel flap. It is so pretty, so pretty. So having just, you know, the same standard heel flap, this is going to be my pattern sample. So I started these, oh, this was my New Year's Day cast on. So I started these 2 days ago. Today's the 3rd. And yeah, going really well. Only have 70 more rounds to go. So those are my current knitting whips, but I also mentioned last time I wanted to start spinning some more. I mostly said that I wanted to practice plying, so I think I showed this last time too. I have this braid of Paradise Fibers Merino in the colorway Mystic Forest, I believe, but it's just, you can see that. It's a beautiful like purple, pink, blue, some teal in there. It was a 100-gram braid, and I think what I have here is like 60 something grams. So I have to spin about, you know, 10-15 more grams onto this spindle, and then, you know, wind it off, spin onto, you know, spin the other 50 grams, ply them together. That's the whole goal with this, is to try and get better with plying. And I believe what I'm going to do with this is make myself some fingerless mitts, because even right now my hands are so numb. It is freezing out. It's a New England winter. So I'm gonna knit myself some fingerless mitts with these whenever I finish spinning on that. So that is the last whip of the day. I had 2 knitting whips, 1 spinning whip. I have this vision. So this is, we're moving into like future plans right now. I have this vision, right? The Musselburgh hat is like making its rounds again. I feel like it's just like, you know, the most popular hat pattern in the world, and has been since it was released. And for good reason. I think the design concept of it is amazing. That like double thick, super plush fabric that you get. Love the idea. However, I absolutely detest the crown increases that Ysolda wrote. I don't know what it is that like it's like a cross pattern or an X or whatever, but it makes like box shaped crown, a box shaped crown. If you're familiar with like Carhartt hats, it's kind of like that, which I just don't like the shape of that or the fit of that. So what I'm going to do is kind of, there's some mohair fuzz flying around. So what I'm planning to do is kind of take inspiration from the Musselburgh and make that like that same type of construction, but just with increases that I prefer. So I prefer a nice like circular increase. For this, I am pulling out some insanely deep stash. This is some of the first ever indie dyed yarn I ever purchased. This is from Old Rusted Chair. Let me see if you can see that. The colorway is Don't Forget Your Shades. Let's see, can you see that? Don't Forget Your Shades. It's a superwash merino single, 400 yards. And let me take the ball band off so you can see just how gloriously neon. You probably won't be able to see because camera quality, but oh my god, it is so neon, so speckly. I've had this for 5 or 6 years. Let me even unscan it for you so you can just like, there are so many colors in this. It is glorious, gorgeous, all of the words. I don't even think, I'm gonna have to like lay this out for you and get some good footage because there's so many colors. I love this right here. These like little black and red speckles, the blue, the purple, the green, the pink, the yellow. Oh my god, that yellow, right? So this is going to be an insanely neon Musselburgh hat, but it won't be a Musselburgh, it'll be a Katie Burgh hat, because I will be improvising the pattern as I go. So I will be improvising the pattern as I go, and I don't think I'll, write it out or anything, because I feel like that's just kind of, like, it doesn't feel right to me to, like, knock off someone else's design, especially because she's put so much work into grading it for different gauges and different sizes and blah blah blah, and all I'm gonna do is just a pinhole cast on with circular increases, knit a long tube, and then decrease, and then stuff it inside itself like a turducken. That's the plan for this. That's the plan for this absolutely gorgeous skein of yarn, which I could not be more excited about. So I'll be winding that up today. I just wanted to show it to you guys in skein form. I'll be winding that into a ball, hopefully casting on that Musselburgh. And maybe next time I will have yet another new hat to show you. Let's move on. Oh, actually, one last knitting plan. So, as you, I'm sure, have gathered, I dye a lot of my own yarn, and I had this vision. I'm playing with the yarn, so I'm sorry if you just saw it. I had this vision to knit socks for my sister in this, like, beautiful, like, green and gray, like, camo-inspired yarn, because she lives out in Nebraska and she's an outdoors woman, So I had this idea to knit her these, like, really cool camo-inspired socks. So I dyed this yarn, and let me see if I can hold it up. I have it on the zip tie because I'm going to re-dye it. Spoiler alert. So it looks super grassy, like Kelly green on camera. It's much more not. It's much less green in person. You can see the, like, spaghetti ramen noodles where I started knitting the socks and then was like, I have decided I don't like this yarn. The yarn's fine. I don't like the color. When it was all skeined up and, like, let me see how good I can do. When it was, like, all skeined up and twisted together, you could, like, really see some of that gray variation. I dyed it like 3 different shades of green, and then I, like, glazed it with gray, and it looked really good in skein form, but then when it was knitted up into socks, the different shades of green just didn't really translate, so it was more of, like, big blocks of green with, like, 1 micro stripe of gray, and that's just not what I wanted. I wanted more of, like, almost like an assigned pooling effect. Like, you guys know what camo looks like. I kind of wanted to get that vibe into socks. So I had to reskein this yarn because I'm gonna re-dye it. I'm gonna just kind of do my best. And I mean, like, they're gonna be my sister's first pair of hand knit socks, so she's gonna, love them and appreciate them regardless. But I want to get this right. And you can see I have some, like, black speckles in there too, which I thought would, like, add to the camo vibe, but it just doesn't translate as well once it's knit up. So I'm gonna be dyeing this a little bit darker, a little bit splotchier or patchier, or just, like, all of those things that you don't want necessarily in hand-dyed yarn. That's kind of what I'm trying to put into this specific skein, because I want that like splotchy pooling look, because it's supposed to like emulate camo. So that's kind of like a little mental experiment for me, almost, to try and like make myself think in the opposite direction that I normally would. So that's it for my own personal making work. I have a little bit of life stuff that I wanted to share with you. This is just, you know, as I mentioned, my boyfriend's birthday was on January 1st, and I think last week I talked about how we were gonna go to the easternmost point in Maine and watch the sunrise, as it was like, you know, the first light over the United States on the New Year, and also his birthday. We didn't end up doing that just because he had to work the next day, and it's such a far drive, it's like an 8-hour drive or whatever, that we were just kind of like, not this year, is basically all we said. Because it's a lot of driving in a very short period, and it's not even like we can spend the whole next day recovering. He has to go to work the next day. So we did not go to Maine. Instead, we flew drones and planes. My dad and my boyfriend are both super into drone flying and like RC planes and stuff like that. So we spent like half the day flying drones. We made like this really big elaborate feast. I cooked him breakfast, my mom cooked him dinner, and then he actually asked me if I could teach him how to knit. And I was like, the heavens have opened up. This is the best day of my life. Whose birthday really is this? Is it yours or mine? Because it feels like my birthday. This feels like a treat for me. So I broke out some, I think this is like some Lion brand yarn that I got at Michael's a decade ago. It's just this like bulky white yarn with a like a rainbow stellina going through it. And I just need to show you guys, I am so proud of him. So, you know, it probably doesn't look like much to you, right? You knitter folk out there. Let me show you. I am so proud. So I cast on for him and I knit the first row. And, you know, there's holes in it. He's increasing where he shouldn't be, you know. He just wanted to make this like long basic scarf thing. You can see he starts like over here, you know, he's increasing. I didn't teach him how to do that. He's just doing it. So I could not be prouder. Look at his gauge, you guys. Look at it. That is perfect. It's his first time. And look at that. His stitches are so even. It's beautiful. I mean, he's splitting the yarn in some places, but I could not be prouder. I feel like, you know, this is how parents must feel when they see their kids playing like Little League or something. I'm so dang proud of this kid. Look at, he made this. I'm so proud of him. And it's like, for someone's first time knitting, that's pretty dang good, you know? I am so proud of him. And he left this at my house, and he's at his house. He keeps texting me. He's like, I really miss knitting. I wish I brought my knitting with me. He was just so cute. And so on his birthday, he was like, I really want to get through this entire ball of yarn in one sitting. And I was like, oh my god. So we were up watching the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame induction ceremony thing. And he was just like knitting the whole time. I was so proud of him. He was like, I'm really gonna finish this ball tonight. And he was like, and then we can rip it out and we can start again. You can teach me how to cast on and like all this different stuff. And I was like, oh my god. My heart is screaming. I am so happy. So I just wanted to share that with you. I am so proud of him. He's doing so well. And he's enjoying it, which is like the biggest thing for me. As long as he's enjoying it, I'm happy. And like, I'll teach him how to fix his mistakes eventually, but for now I'm just pumped that he's having a blast doing it. So I think that is where I will leave you for today. I just wanted to catch up with you, kind of get my brain resituated after the holidays and all that. So it was a little bit difficult in the beginning, you know, we had some speed bumps, but I think we got there in the end. So thank you everyone so much for watching. I will see you next time, and in the meantime, I hope you all enjoy your crafting.